The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
It's time for Doing It with Style.
You've either got or you haven't got style.
If you got it, you stand out a mile.
Passing by a yard where so many heroes sleep, a young man stood in uniform, proud and tall, arms in perfect salute, speaking words of bravery, so honored that he could. As there beside a bed, he spoke to one who slept, knowing all so well the ears they fell upon would gladly do it all again. For to one who made the sacrifice, there is no greater friend. Thankful for the freedom given, he promised to defend. As he stood there tall, looking forward, never back. Silently, this young man whispered words beyond his age. I fought back the tears he dared not to allow as he made his solemn vow. For this young man standing there, in uniform, so proud and tall, being all of 6, said 8 words no child should ever have to speak. As he said without regret, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll take care of Mom."
That was Don't Worry, Dad. I'll Take Care of Mom. That was written and performed by my special guest today, Mike Hamill. Mike is a poet, a songwriter, a movie producer, an actor, and host of his own radio podcast. He's got quite a list of credits here, and I'd like to bring him on. Mike, are you there? How you doing today?
I am. Thank you for having me on the show today, John.
Hey, first of all, that was awesome. I heard this maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago on Rick and Jackie Gould's Sunday Side Up show, and that's where you and I first connected. I have to ask you, what inspired this?
Well, at the time that I wrote that particular piece, I was in the middle of posting a poem of the day on Facebook. And I wait 550 days in a row, post a new poem of the day on Facebook. And quite often, at the beginning of the day, I didn't have a poem ready. So I'd scroll down through my news feed, and I happened to come across a picture of a 6-year-old boy in full Marine dress uniform saluting a casket.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the caption read, "Don't worry, Dad, I'll take care of Mom." And it was around Memorial Day, and it just struck a chord with me. And it came to me in about probably took me about 5 minutes to write that poem.
Wow.
It just came really quick.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty
it's
awesome.
something that I firmly believe in, supporting our troops and all those who are giving their lives so that you and I can do this radio show today.
Well, I know as a Marine Corps Vietnam vet, it certainly touched me, and I'm sure a lot of other people too.
Well, thank you.
You have.
Yeah, I hope to. I'm trying to make some contacts. I'm going to try to perform that at Arlington National Cemetery next Memorial Day.
That would be awesome.
I've got some people making some contacts to me to try to make that happen. So, if anybody is listening from Arlington National Cemetery, give me a call.
Yeah,
I'd like to talk to you.
Got to be somebody out there.
You would think.
We do have a few listeners.
Yeah.
I'm looking over your list of credits here. You have a CD, a new CD out called A Father's Love Letters.
Father's Love Letters, about the first 9 years of a father-child relationship.
Okay.
It is more of a keep your eyes open, be alert, and be involved with your child's life than it is a how-to tape.
Right.
Or work. It's your child only learns to walk once, only learns to talk once, only has one first day of school,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. And it's just encouraging men to be there for those times.
Right. So what, you had mentioned that you had posted 500 and how many poems?
550 days in a row. I post a new poem of the day on Facebook.
Are you still doing that every day?
No. I was like Forrest Gump. Just one day I ran into the wall and said, I think I'm going to go home. So now, after my original idea with that was to do it for 1 year, see if I could make a year.
Right.
And when I got a year, it was just like Forrest. When he reached one ocean, he turned around and ran to the other one. That's what I kind of did with the posting of the poems there.
What motivated you to do that? Why? I mean, why? I'm going to write a poem a day and put it up on Facebook.
Well, there's like saying, writers write, musicians play.
Yep.
And I started out as an exercise just to work my writing muscles.
Gotcha.
I thought, if I can write a new poem every day for a year, eventually they're going to start coming pretty easy to me. And after about 60, 70 days, like this poem, they just started coming to me. And sometimes I'd write like, well, I remember one day I wrote 5 poems in a span of 20 minutes.
Wow.
So that saying, writers write, is true. You gotta flex your muscles, and the more you flex them, the stronger they get.
Yeah. Do you ever go back and reread some of the stuff that you wrote and
oh yeah,
look
at I do that quite often, and I actually 99% of it I go, wow, I wrote that, because I have no idea. You could say recite this poem for me, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I'd have to go look it up and actually read it.
Have you gone back and read some of the stuff that you wrote and then decided, I'm going to rewrite that, or I could have done this?
No, I don't. All my writing, there are people that will put down a format and they'll go back and they'll work on it for weeks or months, but all my writing just comes to me and I spend minutes on it.
Yeah.
I very seldom spend more than 5 to 10 minutes on any particular piece.
Gotcha.
And God's blessed me with that. I basically, the way I write is I look at a situation and I try to put myself in that situation and how would I feel being involved with that situation. So like with Don't Worry Dad, the picture struck me, and I put myself in the place of that little boy saluting his father's casket, and it just came.
Well, I'd like to talk about your acting for a minute, because I got to tell you, I'm a really big fan. I loved you in the Star Wars movies. I think that you know.
Well, I think you got the wrong Hamill for that.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's my
I was in a movie. It wasn't one of the greatest movies of all time, like Star Wars. It was actually voted by IMDB, the International Movie Database, as being the worst movie ever made.
And
so
that was the
at least I'm
classic,
number one in something.
That was the cult classic Troll 2, if I'm not
Troll
mistaken.
2, yep. I played Preacher Bells.
Now I got to go back and watch that, because I really am a fan of all of these, you know, like Planet 9 from outer space and some of the worst movies ever made. So now that's on my list. I got to go back and watch.
Well, don't watch it alone. With a gun, because you will want to shoot yourself watching this movie. It's just phenomenal how this movie has taken off. It's the modern day Rocky Horror Picture Show. When you go to a live screening of this at a theater, there are actually people lined up down the street and around the block to get into this movie, and they know every word of every line in the movie. They come in costume. They bring props that are used in the movie, and it's like a Grateful Dead show when you see these screenings. But if you watch it at home by yourself, you will. If there's a gun nearby, you'll want to shoot the TV and then yourself.
So
it really deserves the worst movie ever made title.
You also did a poetry-based movie called Reflections in the Mud. Is that
called
correct?
Reflections in the Mud.
Right.
Graham Russell of Air Supply did the music for me.
That's awesome.
I
love Air Supply, by the way. Big fan.
Yeah, you know, I just saw a interview that he did with a Adam Reed or some TV show here in Salt Lake, and I didn't realize that in all of music history, only 2 bands have had 8 top 5 hits in a period of 3 years.
Wow!
And one of them was the Beatles.
Well, duh.
And the other is Air Supply.
Wow!
Now, who'd have thunk that?
Yeah, no. Like I said, I love their stuff, but I never would have. I never would have put them in that category. So, basically, what is the movie about? Reflections in the Mud. Which is
it's a poetry-based movie where originally all the dialogue was going to be poetry.
Gotcha.
But I let the guy that
like a musical
directed it, I let him have a little too much creative say in it, and we did away with a lot of the poetry because he didn't think poetry would work. And actually, the poetry turned out to be the best part of the movie. Basically, it's about a couple that had grew up with each other, and after high school, they went their separate ways, and many years later, they get back together. And my character, say when you write a movie, you can star in it too. So I starred in this movie.
Right.
My character was a undercover agent, and the female lead character was a photojournalist. And they get back together over a chance meeting. And then he eventually proposes marriage, and then he disappears the next day.
Wow.
Never to be found again until this journalist tracks him down. So that's a basic concept.
And where can this movie be seen?
The trailer can be seen on YouTube.
Okay.
Just type in Reflections in the Mud in the YouTube movie trailer, and the trailer comes up. And pretty good trailer, but if somebody wants to actually see the movie, they have to get hold of me, and I'll have to send them a copy.
Okay, so
I've been unable to sell it.
It hasn't been distributed yet.
No, well, it got minor distribution in Russia, Spain, and Czechoslovakia, but no distribution in the States.
You got caught up in another one of those deals, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It happens a lot. So, and that's a
well.
shame.
The problem with the movie is, it was in movie theaters here in Salt Lake, and it got reviewed better than a lot of Hollywood movies. But the problem with this particular movie, I don't have a Hollywood actor in the movie.
Right.
I don't have a name actor. The biggest name I have is the Air Supply doing the music.
Well,
and
maybe
if I would have had
maybe you should change your first name to Mark and then re-release the movie.
that might work, because every time I plug in Mike Hamill on YouTube, 600 things about Mark Hamill show up. So that could be sweet revenge against Mark.
Yeah. You also have you've got a weekly radio show yourself, a podcast, right? Up in
I do. It's called Off the Written Page, and it's about taking the written word off the written page and giving it life through music, film, stage, dance, whatever medium the artist happens to use.
Wow.
It's like with this Don't Worry Dad, that started off just being a poem.
Right.
And then the next evolution was putting music to it.
Right.
And hopefully the next revolution will be doing a video to it. So I like to take the poetry off the page. And basic poetry that's basically what a song is. People listen to it every day.
Yeah.
They just don't realize that they're listening to poetry when they listen to Air Supply or they listen to Elton John. They're basically listening to a poem that's been put to music, and instead of being spoken, someone's singing it. So
I understand that you're known as the bodybuilding poet.
Yeah, the bodybuilding poet.
How did that come about?
I've won a natural bodybuilder.
Okay.
At one point in my career, I was down to 2.9% body fat, which is essentially no fat.
Yeah.
I've won state and regional titles and finished third, fifth, and eighth in the world championships.
Wow.
So
are you still working out? You still into bodybuilding, or?
No, I still work out, but I don't compete.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I think most people don't realize how much time, effort, and energy goes into that when you're competing. We have
yeah, well, it's basically a 24/7 sport.
Yep.
And the sport itself is kind of goofy. I mean, it's basically standing in front of 500 people you don't know in your underwear and letting them judge your body.
Right.
But the process is what I enjoy, because the results you get are totally dependent upon yourself. You don't lose because your left fielder dropped a fly ball.
Right.
You don't win because somebody else hit a grand slam. Whatever results you get, it's all on your shoulders.
It depends on what the judges are looking for.
That's what I like about bodybuilding.
Yeah. It depends on what the judges are looking for that day, too. So.
Yeah. And the thing is, one thing you quickly learn in bodybuilding, and it's true in all areas, no matter how good you are or how great you look, there's always somebody out there that's a little bit greater and looks a little bbit better. No matter how far you hit a baseball, there's always somebody out there that hits it a little bit further. So
yep.
You need to keep your ego in check.
Yeah.
You're not God just because you're 7 foot tall, can jump 15 feet in the air and dunk a basketball.
Which reminds me of a joke a friend of mine told me some time back. Do you know the difference between God and a doctor?
No.
God doesn't think he's a doctor.
No, there you go. That's true.
All right, and my apologies to all my friends in the medical field, but you know how I am.
No, that's a very good way of looking at it.
You've also got a couple of projects that you're working on, too. It's Okay.
Yeah, I've got my Father's Love Letters CD.
Right.
that I'm trying to turn into a Broadway show, Broadway Vegas style show. Pretty involved show I've got. Like track 9 on the CD is about riding a bicycle, teaching your child how to first ride a bicycle.
Right.
And the way I would perform that in the stage show is I would have an acrobat come out on stage riding a bicycle real wobbly, ride the bike right off the stage, ride it out over the heads of the audience, ride it back over the audience, across the stage, ride straight through a video screen. On the video screen, you see a father teaching his child how to ride a bike. The father would let go of the bike, and the child would be a little bit wobbly at first, and then start riding with no hands. And as he's riding with no hands, he would morph into an eagle, and the eagle makes a U-turn, flies right into the camera, like it's flying right off the video screen. And from the top of the video screen, a live eagle would be released and come down, land on my arm on the stage.
That'd be cool.
So it's a pretty involved show. A little circle Soleil or Dissol or whatever there.
Yeah. Where do the ideas come from? I mean, is this something that you've worked out? You know, you just have a basic concept. I want to do this, and then develop it from there, or?
Well, it first started. I've got a very beautiful daughter. Greatest thing I've ever done in my life was be a dad. And I had written a couple poems, and a lady that I was seeing at the time said, "You ought to write a bunch of these and turn it into a book." And I thought, you know what? I think you're right. So I started writing more and more poems about my daughter and my relationship. And then I met up with Rich Wyman, a local piano player here in Park City, and he and I sat down and discussed putting music to it. And he did what I think is an incredible job putting keyboards and saxophones and percussion and bass to it. And it turned out to be a really nice project. When we first released it, we made it through to the semifinal process of the Grammys. But at the time that I released it, we had to send 5,000 copies of the CD to all the voting members, and I couldn't afford to do that, so we didn't make it any further than that. But
yeah, it's
got some great recognition. Jerry Wood, editor of at one time of Country Weekly magazine, even though it's a jazz piece, said it's a piece that must be heard. Ricky Martin, Dean Martin's son, raved about it, and you know, I've had a lot of good feedback over the years.
Cool. Now, you said you live up in Park City?
Park City, Utah.
How long have you been up there?
What's that?
I said, how long have you been up there?
Oh, I've been here since 1981.
Oh, the reason I ask is it's a little bit of a strange coincidence. I have a friend that lives up there. Haven't heard from him for a while. So, but yeah, we used to work at Marriott together. Name is Brent Farron. So if you run into him, tell him I said.
No kidding.
You please don't tell me.
This is 6 degrees of separation.
No shit, you know Brent?
Brent Farron. Unbelievable. Yeah, Brent's a good friend of mine. He used to sponsor my bodybuilding.
Oh, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you have to.
That is funny.
Have to give him my contact info and tell him to get a hold of me. I'm gonna come up there and whoop his butt.
That is so funny.
Yeah, and when I heard you say Park City, you know, Brent popped into my mind because I haven't talked to him or haven't been in contact with him for quite a while. We were almost working together on a project up in Deer Valley that didn't quite work out, which is a shame because I loved working with Brent. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. You have to get a hold of him and tell him to contact me. So, well,
I'll do that.
Okay.
That is so funny.
Ain't that weird? So and it's strange because I basically met you from two other friends over at Lotus Broadcasting, And
Mm-hmm.
the weird thing about that is that was their last show. I mean, after all these years, that was their final show over there at Lotus. And
Yeah.
I had gone in there because I've known them and been in the studio with them a number of times, and I said, hey, you know, this is a landmark. Let me come in and film this show, which they did.
Oh, great.
So and that was where I heard this piece and got to talk to you briefly on the phone. So you've got a lot of irons in the fire here. What of all the things that you've got going currently, and what's the one thing that you're most passionate about? What's the
Well, the most passionate thing I have in my life is bringing father's love letters to the Broadway stage or Vegas stage. In fact, I just met a trade show person down in Vegas that was up here in Park City, and he's putting me in touch with some people in Vegas that put together stage shows.
Okay.
So,
because this is going to be live, right? This is not, you're not working on a film. This is going to be a live.
No, this is a
stage show.
live, like a Broadway. It's
Right.
intended to be a Broadway show.
Gotcha.
You know, I've got, just like I explained the bicycle thing, for each piece, there's quite a bit of props and dancing, and it's got aerial dancing, it's got stage dancing, it's got video.
Well, Las Vegas is the place to do it because their showrooms are set up for that kind of thing.
Yeah. So
just don't
and
let
it's
them.
funny, even the way I met Jackie, and the way I got with her, Tony Bonaccini, I can't pronounce his name
Tony
correct.
Benici.
But Benucci, he was having dinner with friends at the restaurant where I work,
Right.
and they were ordering nice wine, and we got to talking about the wine and talking about this, that, and the other. And I asked him if he had any kids, and he said, "Yeah, I've got a child," and so did the other couple. So I gave him. I said, "You know, been so nice enjoying the evening with you. I'd like to get your presents." I gave him a copy of my father's love letter CD, and he looked at it and he said, "Well, you know what? You've got a CD. Guess what I have?" I said, "What?" He goes, "I have radio stations." And I'm going to try to help you out. So I sent Don't Worry Dad down to Tony, and he put me in touch with Jackie, and she put me in touch with you, and the 6 degrees keep going in circles there.
Yeah, and now I'm back in touch with Brent. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. One time, it reminds me when I took my daughter to Amsterdam, and we were standing in a line for the Van Gogh Museum. And from behind me, I hear somebody going, "Hey, Mike! Mike!" Turned around, and it was somebody from Park City. Ran into him in Amsterdam, of all places.
I'll be darned.
And it's kind of like this, running into somebody that knows Brent Farron.
Yeah.
It's funny how small the world is.
Yeah, it is. And you know, it just goes to show you that we're all in this together, and you know, we need to stick together and help each other out if we're going to get through all this. So.
No, absolutely.
So
that's why I'm so appreciative of Jackie and yourself taking the time to hear what I've got to say.
So you've got on your radio show, the podcast Off the Written Page. Where can people listen to that? How can I listen to that?
AMRUtah.caster.fm.
Got it. All right, we'll make sure we get that out there so people can.
That's every Monday at noon.
Monday at noon.
In August,
that's Mountain Time, right?
August, I'll have Graham Russell of Air Supply coming on it.
Oh, cool.
And in a couple of weeks, I've got John McLuhan of the Dirt Band.
I love them both. Here. Yes, and please tell Graham that one of my favorite songs is "Night Owl." So.
Night Owl.
Night Owls. That's one of the songs that they did.
Okay.
Anyway, so this is noon Mountain Time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're an hour ahead of us here in Vegas.
Right.
All right. Okay. Make sure everybody gets that. So, so you have fun on the show?
Oh yeah, I make a fool of myself quite often.
Yeah. And believe me, I know the feeling.
Here's how musically inclined I am. I've had my CD for years, and we went down to a recording studio and recorded drums with it and guitars
right.
to add onto the CD. And we came on a piece, Things to Be Learned. And I said, listen to this piece. It's got some really great flute on this piece. So the engineer's going, okay, I'll listen. So song's playing and playing and playing. He goes, where's the flute? I said, you've been listening to it the whole time. He goes, that's not flute, that's saxophone. So I learned after many years that the flute on Things to Be Learned is actually a saxophone. That's how wise I am as far as music goes.
I love it. Well, it certainly sounds to me like that you're having fun doing what you're doing. And I've always said when it stops being fun, stop doing it. So I'm still doing this, so I must be having
a lot of fun. I'm trying to put this show together. I'm also working on, like, Don't Worry Dad. If they go to the website I sent you, the bit.ly/Mike Hamill.
Right.
They can purchase Don't Worry Dad on that site. And 50 cents from every dollar goes to help families across the country.
Cool.
And I'm putting together my next studio piece will be called "It's Okay" about Alzheimer's.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm going to donate that to once I get it done. Donate that to Alzheimer's, help raise awareness and hopefully some funds. And then I've got another piece called "Oh Robin" about suicide of Robin Williams that I'm going to do for suicide awareness and hopefully prevention.
Great.
So those are a couple other projects that I'm working on.
So I was going to ask you what you do in your spare time, but looking at all this, I don't think that you have any, do you?
Well, not much. Yeah, I work my day job, fine dining server at the Waldorf Astoria here in Park City.
Nice.
Then in my spare time, I do my creative side.
Yeah,
unfortunately, only one of those sides makes any money and pays the bill. It's not the side that I wanted.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? But you know what? If you found your passion and you go after it, eventually you'll get your reward for it, whether it's money or something else. I mean, we always
you keep working at it. You know, in fact, it's kind of funny. I got to work with Graham and Air Supply when I first started writing back in '77.
Right.
I used to, in my head, sing like whatever band I thought my poetry would fit.
Right.
And Air Supply was always one of those bands that I'd sing in my head as I was writing a piece.
Gotcha.
And then 30 years later, I get to work with them.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so, anything else you'd like to talk about here before we wrap this up, or I want to make sure that you've got an opportunity to get whatever message you've got out there.
Yeah, just have encourage people to go to the website http //bit.ly /Mike Hamill, capitalized the letters, first letters of the names.
Right.
And give a listen to Don't Worry Dad, purchase it, and if you it and help some people out across the country. My Father's Love Letters CD is on there as well.
And Mike, I got to make one correction there, okay? When you say /, that's actually a /. If
/.
It's
okay.
a /. So when it's okay when you see it written, But if you're talking about it, make sure that, if it leans to the right, it's a / if it leans to the left, it's a / So
make sure it's a saxophone, not a flute, right?
That's exactly right. So get your,
well, thank you for pointing that out.
Get your backward and forward together, man.
Well, thanks for pointing that out. People can also find me on ReverbNation.com.
Right.
Although I don't encourage people. You can buy the CD on Reverb Nation, but I encourage the other side.
Right.
Because the other side actually pays the artist. Reverb Nation, you get like 3/1000ths of a penny for every dollar you sell.
I know that's. But anyway, and I think the main focus of that is just to get your stuff out there. But well, with very little. This is why I believe in the CD so much. Right.
There are tens of thousands of artists on Reverb Nation.
Yep.
I do not promote that site hardly ever, and I've been ranked number 46 in the nation for jazz artists.
Wow.
And I've been ranked 51st in the world for jazz artists on there. And that's based just on people coming across it, playing it, and enjoying it, and with no promotion. So it tells me that if people from all over the world are connecting with this work, there's something to it.
Well, Mike, I'd like you to come back from time to time and let us know how some of these projects are progressing. And
I will.
When you're getting ready to promote some of these, let me know. We'll help you get the word out there as well. And,
well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate all you've done.
Oh, Mike, like I said, I think what you're doing is great. I like it, and if I like it, I'm sure a lot of other people will too. So I appreciate you taking the time. I know we tried to do this last week, but your voice was so bad I couldn't even understand you on the phone. So
yeah.
So you're doing a lot better. You're doing a lot better
too much rehearsing.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Mike, again, I'd like to thank you for coming on today. I wish you all the luck in the world. If you're down in Vegas, let me know. We'll get you in the studio and get you on one of our video shows and see what we can do.
Sounds
to help
great.
you out, sir. So
I may make a special trip just for that.
You're welcome anytime.
Well, thank you, sir.
Right.
I'll get a hold of Brent and
tell him
share our story.
And tell him it's okay. Tell him it's okay to get a hold of me. He doesn't owe me any money, so.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, all right, Mike. I'm gonna hang up on you now, and
okay.
We'll be talking here off and on in the next few weeks. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless, and best of luck with all of these projects. And thank you very, very much for Don't Worry, Dad.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the work.
All right. We'll talk
to you
later.
soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was Mike Hamill. He's got a lot of irons in the fire, some pretty cool stuff. Please go check out his work. You'll see all of the contacts and links up on the screen. And again, I'd like to remind you that this is John Stiles. We're doing it with Stiles. And like I always say, if you're going to do it with Stiles. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Doesn't seem to be any respect in media for someone who's actually a journalist anymore. Next week in Kabul. Of course. Yes, I'm here.
The story's strong. This is great stuff, Lee.
You know it's been weeks since you broke up with eligible bachelor number 3 of the decade. You are the biggest waste of real estate I think I've ever seen.
Do I know you? Jonathan Powell. I mean, it's been such a long time.
You know, if your reporter instincts aren't kicking in to find out where he's been after all these years.
Jonathan Powell. Mystery man.
Trust me as much as you can. It doesn't Didn't seem so long ago, the first time we could touch. I never wanted anything.
I wish this would never change.
So long, so certain, and so much.
Sometimes change is good.
There has to be a mistake.
We simply have no record. I hate still caring.
You're letting him get away. I'm not leaving without something.
Who are you afraid of? Who's trying to get you?
Why do you do what you do?
Because I have to. Don't you ever feel you'd give your life to change the world?